On my granddaughter's 11th birthday, my daughter-in-law gave her a beautiful pink jewelry box. I thought it was a gift of love. I was wrong. Grandma, there's something really weird inside this box. I looked inside. I looked closer. Something was glinting. My hands started shaking. Then I started digging. And what I found tore my family apart. 10 days later, we were in court fighting for everything. This is what happened. Hello, and welcome to today's story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to know where you're watching from. Please note this story combines fictional elements to create engagement and convey important lessons. Any resemblance to actual names or places is coincidental, but the message of the story remains completely grounded in reality. I found the camera on a Wednesday, the same day my granddaughter turned 11, and the same day I realized my family was trying to steal my life. At 68, after 40 years as an educator, I thought I'd seen every kind of manipulation, but I never imagined I'd become the target. The party started at 6. Our backyard in Terrytown filled with neighborhood kids, their laughter bouncing off the live oak my late husband planted years ago. My granddaughter's birthday cake sat on the picnic table, 11 candles waiting. But something was wrong with the birthday girl. At 11, she should have been loud and gloriously self-centered. Instead, she moved through her own party like a ghost, all careful politeness and nervous glances toward her mother. My daughter-in-law played the perfect hostess with her Sunday best smile that never quite reached her eyes. "Mom, you actually remembered the dairy-free option," she said, loud enough for neighbors to hear, then quieter. "Surprising." I let it slide. Pick your battles right. The moment that changed everything came wrapped in pale pink paper. "Open mine next, sweetie." My daughter-in-law presented a jewelry box with performative enthusiasm. Inside sat a vintage-style chest with a built-in music box and a twirling ballerina. It played Swan Lake when my granddaughter lifted the lid, porcelain and delicate, the ballerina frozen in an eternal arabesque. "It's an antique," my daughter-in-law announced, "for all your special treasures." My granddaughter stared at it. Her smile looked painted on. "Thanks, Mom. It's really pretty." But she didn't hug her mother. She just set the box carefully on the gift table, her fingers lingering as if she wanted to say something. By 9 o'clock, my granddaughter was in bed, and I'd sent my son and daughter-in-law home. I was about to turn off her light when I heard her voice, small and frightened. "Grandma?" She was sitting up, hugging her knees. "There's something weird about the box." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "The ballerina. When I looked really close, there's a hole in her eye, and when I picked it up, I saw a red light blinking underneath." I crossed the room and picked up the jewelry box with trembling hands. I tilted it toward the lamp. There it was, a tiny lens embedded in the ballerina's left eye, no larger than a pencil eraser. I flipped the box over. Beneath the felt padding, a faint red LED blinked, a GPS tracker. My granddaughter's voice was barely a whisper. "Grandma, why would Mom give me something like that?" I sat on the edge of her bed, my mind racing. This wasn't a gift. This was surveillance equipment, professional grade, given to an 11-year-old child by her own mother. "I don't know, sweetheart," I said, keeping my voice steady, "but we're going to find out." That's when I noticed the drawings on her desk artwork I'd dismissed as doodles. I looked more carefully. Odd symbols, a stick figure behind bars, and on one page, written large in backwards letters, PLEH. Help. I looked back at my granddaughter. Her eyes were wide with fear. "Am I in trouble?" "No, baby, you're not in trouble." I pulled her close. "But I need you to trust me. We're going to figure this out together." After she fell asleep, I took the jewelry box downstairs. Rage came first, fury at my daughter-in-law, then fear. But beneath both something crystallized determination. I'd spent 40 years protecting children. I wasn't stopping now, especially when the child was my own granddaughter. I picked up my phone. My friend Sarah answered on the second ring. "I need your help," I said. "Something's very wrong." I had 10 days to save my granddaughter, and the clock was already ticking. 20 minutes after I hung up, headlights swept across my living room. Sarah Mitchell's Subaru pulled into the driveway and she was out before I reached the door. Sarah was 66 a year younger than me. We'd taught together for 15 years. She had the sharp eyes of someone who'd spent decades spotting coach children rehearse lies, parents building cases instead of showing genuine concern. "Show me," she said. I led her to the coffee table. Sarah pulled reading glasses from her purse and picked up the jewelry box carefully. She tilted it toward the lamp, studying the ballerina's face. Her expression shifted from curiosity to cold recognition. "There's a lens," she said quietly. She flipped the box over, peeled back the felt padding, and went still. The GPS tracker's red LED blinked steadily. "This isn't paranoia, Maggie. This is evidence." Something inside me loosened. Sarah believed me. "Why would Jessica do this?" Sarah asked, settling beside me. The floodgate opened. "She's been asking about my finances for months, how much the house is worth, whether I've considered assisted living. Last month, she asked about power of attorney, just in case." Sarah's jaw tightened. "That's not concern. That's reconnaissance." She took my hands. "You're not alone." Relief hit me like a wave. "We need photos," Sarah said, reaching for her phone. She documented everything methodically. The jewelry box from multiple angles, close-ups of the camera lens with her car key for scale, the GPS tracker LED clearly visible. She narrated each shot, April 19th, 10:47 p.m., surveillance equipment concealed in child's jewelry box. The precision steadied me. Sarah had turned my nightmare into documented fact. "You need a lawyer," she said, reviewing the photos. "Elder law specialist. I know someone, Linda Morrison. She handled my aunt's estate when my cousin tried to challenge it. Linda's tough. She protects vulnerable adults." My stomach nodded. "What if I'm wrong? What if there's some explanation?" "Maggie," Sarah's voice cut through my spiral. "You've been an educator for 40 years. You know the difference between concern and calculation. Trust your instincts." She was right. I'd spent decades reading parents spotting manipulation. I knew what I was seeing. I just hadn't wanted to believe my own daughter-in-law capable of it. "Call Linda first thing tomorrow," Sarah said, standing. "I'll text you her number. But until you know what you're dealing with, act normal. Don't let Jessica know you've found anything." After Sarah left, I stood outside Emma's room, listening to her breathe in the darkness. Then I crossed to her dresser and placed the jewelry box back where she'd left it. The movement triggered the music. Swan Lake played softly, the ballerina spinning the camera, watching. Tomorrow I'd call Linda Morrison. I'd start fighting back. Tonight, I'd pretend I knew nothing at all. The next morning, I found myself in Linda Morrison's office on the 3rd floor of a downtown building that had seen better decades. Linda was 52 with silver-streaked hair and sharp gray eyes that belonged to someone who'd spent 15 years defending vulnerable adults. Her office balanced professional and warm law books on shelves, family photos on the desk. "Sarah told me what happened," Linda said as I sat down. "Show me." I placed the jewelry box on her desk. Linda examined it with a magnifying glass, studying the camera lens, then flipping it over to inspect the GPS tracker. "Secure cam vendor," she murmured. "Commercial-grade surveillance. Not something you buy at a regular store." She looked up. "Mrs. Harrison, I need to make a call." She dialed, putting her phone on speaker. "Alex, I've got a surveillance device. Need IP trace and purchase records. How fast?" "Give me an hour," a younger voice replied. "Alex Kim," Linda explained after hanging up. "Digital forensics. If this device is transmitting, he'll find where it's going." At 9 o'clock, her phone rang. IP address 192.106.68 to 4578. Alex's voice came through the speaker. "Registered to Thornton and Associates. That's Brian Castellano's firm. And Linda SecureCam has sold 12 devices to Castellano's clients over the past 5 years." Linda's expression darkened. After she hung up, she turned to me. "Maggie Brian Castellano has been on my radar for years. He specializes in elder guardianship cases. What he actually specializes in is exploitation. She pulled up files on her computer. 4 cases in 5 years, same pattern every time. The names made my stomach turn. Warren Morrison, 2021. Assets worth $220,000. Guardianship granted, everything liquidated. Warren passed away in a state facility 8 months later. Helen Stevens, 2017. Linda paused. Helen was Patricia Stevens' grandmother. My mouth went dry. Jessica's grandmother, they've done this before. It appears so, Linda continued. Dorothy Kim, 2019, $190,000. Robert Sullivan, 2020, $240,000. He fought back but passed away before his appeal. She looked at me. That's over $800,000 across 4 people. The pattern is always the same: elderly target guardianship, petition, surveillance equipment, emergency hearing, liquidate assets, facility placement. There's something else, Linda said. Warren Morrison's niece lives in Austin. She's an elementary school teacher. She paused. Ashley Martinez. The room spun. That's Emma's teacher. I know, Linda said quietly. Castellano doesn't choose targets randomly. He assesses assets' vulnerability opportunity. Your house, your retirement savings, Emma's trust fund, and a granddaughter whose teacher has personal history with his methods. That's not coincidence. When was the petition filed? I asked. Linda's fingers moved across her keyboard. April 8th. The hearing. April 28th. She looked up. 10 days from now. 10 days. The coffee I'd drunk threatened to come back up. Emergency guardianship petitions move fast, Linda said. That's part of his strategy: speed and surprise. But he doesn't know you found the equipment. We're going to file a counter petition and fight this with everything we have. What do we need? Proof of conspiracy, financial motive, evidence of coercion, especially if they've been coaching Emma. She pulled out a legal pad. We have 10 days to prove you're competent and that Jessica and Castellano are breaking the law. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out and my blood turned to ice. A text from Jessica: Mom, I'm picking Emma up from school today. I got her a surprise. I showed Linda the screen. A surprise, Linda said quietly, like a jewelry box. What do I do? Linda's expression was grim. Act normal, but Maggie, don't let Emma out of your sight more than necessary. And if Jessica gives her anything else, bring it straight to me. Jessica's silver sedan sat in my driveway when I pulled in at 12:45. My stomach tightened. She wasn't supposed to be here. Inside, she perched at my kitchen table beside Emma, all smiles and maternal warmth, the kind that looked perfect from a distance, but rang hollow up close. Mom, Jessica chirped. I got Emma a smartwatch, SafeTrack Kids Watch. It has GPS tracking and an SOS button for safety. The watch gleamed pink and cheerful on the table between them. Emma's fingers hovered over it, uncertain. That's very thoughtful, I managed, forcing my voice steady. Jessica fastened the watch around Emma's wrist. I'll pick you up tomorrow, sweetie. I have a surprise for you. Emma nodded, eyes downcast. Okay, Mom. Jessica kissed her forehead and left trailing perfume and false promises. The moment her car disappeared, I called Linda. Download the parent app, Linda said without preamble. I've already coordinated with Officer Matthew Cooper. He'll be on standby tomorrow. What if she doesn't? She will, Maggie. That watch isn't a gift. It's bait. Friday, April 20th, 2:00 p.m. Jessica's text arrived on Emma's phone. Meet me at 1247 Industrial Boulevard at 3:15. New coffee shop, surprise waiting. Emma texted back, Okay, Mom. I watched the blue dot on my phone screen as Emma left school at 2:30. The parent app showed her location in real time, pulsing steadily as she walked. But the dot wasn't moving toward Industrial Boulevard. It was heading west, toward Oakmont Drive. My pulse hammered. Why would she lie about the address? I grabbed my keys and ran. 3:05 p.m. I steered with one hand, eyes flicking between the road and my phone. The blue dot crept closer to 892 Oakmont Patricia Stevens' house. At 3:15, the dot stopped. I hit Linda's number. She's at the Stevens house. Jessica lied about the meeting place. Cooper's 2 blocks away. Don't go in alone. I'm already here. I parked across the street, engine idling. The Stevens house sat quiet, curtains drawn. Every instinct screamed at me to run inside, but I forced myself to wait. At 3:30, Cooper's patrol car pulled up, lights off. He was mid-40s, square-jawed, and moved with the calm of someone who'd done this before. He knocked. Austin PD, routine welfare check. Patricia Stevens opened the door, face draining of color. Ma'am, I need to verify a minor's location. Emma Harrison. Patricia hesitated. Cooper's hand moved toward his radio. She's inside. Cooper stepped past her. I followed. In the living room, Jessica sat beside Patricia. Papers spread across the coffee table. Emma perched on the couch between them, small and tense. Grandma! Emma bolted toward me. I caught her arms tight around her shoulders. Jessica stood smoothing her skirt. Officer, this is a misunderstanding. We were just... Ma'am, I'll need to speak with you separately. Cooper's tone was professional, unyielding. He looked at me. Mrs. Harrison, I'd like to interview Emma privately, with your permission. I cupped Emma's face. Tell Officer Cooper the truth, sweetheart. All of it. Emma nodded. As we walked toward Cooper's car, I felt the weight of what came next pressing down. Whatever Emma was about to say would change everything, and there was no going back. That morning, before the rescue, before everything spiraled, we gathered in Alex Kim's lab at 9 o'clock sharp. The space was clinical and precise, white counters gleaming under fluorescent lights, magnifying lamps angled over workstations, precision tools arranged like surgical instruments. The hum of computers filled the air, steady and relentless. Alex Kim was 38, lean and deliberate, with the kind of focus that came from years spent unraveling digital deception in elder abuse cases. He'd seen this pattern before, surveillance disguised as care control, dressed up as concern. He motioned us to a steel work table. The jewelry box sat in the center, pink and innocent under the harsh light. Let's see what we're dealing with, Alex said. He worked with micro tweezers, extracting the camera from the ballerina's left eye with the care of a jeweler removing a diamond. The lens caught the light, tiny, perfect, sinister. Microcam X12, he announced, holding it up. Commercial grade. Pinhole lens Wi-Fi enabled internal storage of 64 gigabytes. That's enough for 30 days of continuous footage at standard resolution. My stomach turned. 30 days. Next, he flipped the box over and pried open the base. The GPS tracker came free, a flat disc no bigger than a quarter, blinking a faint red. TrackSafe Mini, real-time GPS positioning, 90-day battery life. Designed for fleet tracking, not birthday gifts. Sarah's hand found my shoulder. I hadn't realized I'd been holding my breath. Linda leaned in. Can you trace where the data's going? Alex's fingers flew across his keyboard. Lines of code scrolled past. Then he stopped. IP address 192.168.45.78. Registered to Thornton & Associates, PLLC. Office location 1450 Lavaca Street, downtown Austin. Castellanos firm, Linda said, voice flat. Correct. Alex pulled up a transmission log. First data packet sent April 20th, 11:23 a.m., exactly 1 day after the device was given. I felt the words like a punch. They'd waited barely 12 hours. Transmission frequency, Linda asked. Every 15 minutes, 24/7. In the past 24 hours alone, 96 data packets. He switched screens. A map of Austin bloomed across the monitor, scattered with red dots. GPS log, Alex said. Every location Mrs. Harrison visited since activation. I stared. There was my house, a cluster of dots. Emma's school, the grocery store on Exposition, our church. And there, unmistakable, was Sarah's address on West 35th. They tracked every movement, Alex said quietly. The room felt smaller. I thought of Jessica's cheerful smile as she'd handed Emma the box. For you, sweetheart. Every word a lie. Every gesture calculated. Linda. I managed the petition. When was it filed? April 8th. Alex nodded. So they filed 12 days before surveillance began. They didn't gather evidence and then file. They filed first, then manufactured the evidence. Premeditated fraud, Linda confirmed. Her voice was steel. This wasn't a concerned daughter worried about her mother. This was a conspiracy. What are the legal implications? I asked. Illegal surveillance, elder abuse, conspiracy to defraud. If we prove Castellano orchestrated this and the IP trace helps, we're looking at disbarment. Criminal charges, possible jail time. Is this enough for court? Linda hesitated. It's strong. Very strong. But Castellano will call it circumstantial. He'll argue someone else had access to his network. We need direct proof coercion, financial motive witness testimony. Her phone buzzed. She glanced down and something shifted in her expression. What? I asked. She turned the screen toward me. Need to talk. Tonight. David, my son, who'd been distant and silent since Thomas passed, who'd stood by while Jessica made her plans. If David was reaching out now, something had broken. We meet him, Linda said. Tonight. Whatever he knows, we need it. I nodded, pulse racing. We had 7 days until the hearing, and the walls were starting to close in on Jessica and Castellano. Linda arrived at 8 that evening, laptop case slung over her shoulder. Sarah was already at my kitchen table, tea cooling in untouched cups. The house felt too quiet, too still, like the air before a storm. The SafeTrack watch has a feature most parents don't know about, Linda said, setting up her laptop. Ambient audio recording. Voice activated. It triggers on elevated speech patterns, stress keywords, certain emotional tones. Everything uploads automatically to the cloud. My chest tightened. Jessica gave Emma that watch. Exactly. And she had no idea it was documenting everything. Linda logged into the SafeTrack parent portal. A folder appeared on screen. 15 audio files spanning March 15th through April 20th. Total runtime, 45 minutes. 15 recordings, Linda said quietly. Over 5 weeks. Let's start with the first one. She clicked play. Recording.
March 15, 7:30 p.m. 4. Min Jessica. Tell the judge Grandma forgets things. Can you remember that Emma hesitant? But Grandma doesn't forget. Jessica firm, she's old sweetheart. She forgets her medication. You've seen it. Emma. I don't think so. Jessica, sharp. Emma. This is how we help her. Do you want to help Grandma or not? Emma, small, defeated. Okay. I pressed my hand to my mouth. That was Emma's voice, uncertain, scared, trying to please her mother. March 15th, Linda said. 3 weeks before the petition was filed. Jessica was already coaching her. Sarah reached across the table, her hand covering mine. Linda pulled up the second file. March 22nd. Listen to the location noise. This one's at the Stevens house. Recording.
Grandma doesn't forget. Jessica firm, she's old sweetheart. She forgets her medication. You've seen it. Emma. I don't think so. Jessica sharp Emma. This is how we help her. Do you want to help Grandma or not? Emma, small, defeated. Okay. I pressed my hand to my mouth. That was Emma's voice, uncertain, scared, trying to please her mother. March 15th, Linda said. 3 weeks before the petition was filed. Jessica was already coaching her. Sarah reached across the table, her hand covering mine. Linda pulled up the second file. March 22nd. Listen to the location noise. This one's at the Stevens house. Recording 2, March 22nd, 6:15 p.m. 3 Min Patricia Stevens. Your grandma can't take proper care of you anymore. Emma protesting, but she makes breakfast every day. She helps with my homework. Jessica cutting and Emma grandma's sick. She needs doctors. Professional care. Emma voice breaking. She's not sick. Patricia, sweetie, trust us. We know what's best for her. This is the only way to help. Emma crying softly. Okay. The recording ended. My hands were shaking. Patricia Stevens, Linda said. Helen's granddaughter. Castellano's previous victim. Now she's part of the conspiracy. She's helping them, Sarah said, voice hard as steel. Linda's fingers hovered over the third file. This one's April 10th. 2 days after they filed the petition, brace yourself. Recording 3, April 10th, 8:00 p.m. To mean Jessica, cold threatening. If you don't tell the judge exactly what we practiced, they will take Grandma away forever. Do you understand? You'll never see her again. Never. Emma sobbing. No, please. Jessica. So tell me, what are you going to say? Emma trembling, reciting Grandma forgets to eat. She can't take care of herself. She needs help. Jessica satisfied, good girl. The file ended. I couldn't breathe. Tears streamed down my face. She terrorized her, made Emma think she'd lose me forever if she didn't lie. Systematic coercion, Sarah said, gripping my hand tighter. Over 5 weeks, building from suggestions to threats. Linda closed the laptop, her expression grim. This is admissible evidence. Jessica's voice, Patricia's involvement, Emma's clear emotional distress. Combined with the surveillance devices and Castellano's pattern, we have conspiracy, premeditated fraud, and psychological abuse of a minor. Is it enough? I whispered. It's damning. But headlights swept across my living room wall. I looked at the clock. 10 p.m. A car door slammed outside. Footsteps on the porch, slow and heavy. The doorbell rang. I opened the door. David stood on my porch face, pale and drawn eyes red-rimmed, in his hand a small USB drive. Mom, he said, voice barely steady. I found this in Jessica's desk. You need to see what's on it. He stepped inside, and I knew whatever was on that drive would change everything. David stepped into my living room at 11, and I barely recognized him. His eyes were red-rimmed and swollen, his hands trembling as he clutched the USB drive like a lifeline. David, I said gently, what's happening? He sank into the couch, head in his hands. I've been so blind, Mom, so stupid. Linda and Sarah waited silent. Last night, Jessica's laptop was still open, David said, voice breaking. I looked, the emails, the text messages, the bank records. He set the USB on the coffee table. This has been going on for 6 months. Linda picked up the drive, expression sharp. What's on here? Everything. We moved to the kitchen table. Linda plugged the USB into her laptop. Files bloomed across the screen. Banking records showed a withdrawal slip dated February 2024. $15,000 from my savings account. My signature, except it wasn't. The loops were wrong, the slant too steep. Forged, Linda murmured. The email thread between Jessica and Castellano contained guardianship petition drafts and nursing home tour schedules, Westlake Senior Living, Arbor Terrace, Meadowbrook. All premium facilities with monthly fees exceeding $5,000. The asset liquidation plan was a spreadsheet. My house appraised at $285,000. Retirement accounts $90,000. Investments $45,000. Total $420,000. They'd calculated everything. David's voice was barely a whisper. There's more. Linda scrolled. Hotel receipts appeared. Austin Marriott downtown. 12 entries between October and April. Rooms registered under 2 names, J. Harrison and B. Castellano. My chest tightened. They weren't just attorney and client, David said, voice hollow. Jessica and Castellano, they've been involved. 6 months. The room went silent. Sarah's hand found my shoulder. David looked up, eyes brimming. I'll testify. Against her. Against all of them. Whatever you need. Linda closed the laptop. We use everything. Bank fraud, conspiracy. And now we have motive, financial and personal. By midnight, we'd transformed my kitchen into a war room. Linda spread papers across the table, evidence inventory, witness lists, timeline charts. Here's what we have, she said. The jewelry box with the camera traced back to Castellano's IP address. The GPS audio recordings, all 15 files, documented systematic coercion of Emma over 5 weeks. The banking records proved $15,000 had been stolen using a forged signature. The emails and text messages between Jessica and Castellano showed clear conspiracy. The hotel receipts established motive, both financial and personal. The timeline documents demonstrated premeditation with the petition filed before surveillance even began. And Officer Cooper's official welfare check report gave us a formal police record. Linda moved to the witness list. Emma will testify in camera with the judge, private, no courtroom pressure. Ashley Martinez can speak to Castellanos' pattern. She's Warren Morrison's niece and Emma's teacher. Elena Rodriguez witnessed Jessica's behavior in the community. David has the financial records and hotel receipts. Alex Kim provides the digital forensics and IP trace expertise. And you, Maggie, are the primary witness. We have 7 days, Linda said. Hearings, April 28th. This weekend, we prep witnesses, organize exhibits, and demonstrate your competency beyond question. Offensive strategy, Sarah added. Linda nodded. We don't just defend. We dismantle their case and expose the conspiracy. David exhaled slowly. What do you need from me? Everything Linda said. Bank statements, email access, hotel records, testimony about Jessica's behavior, the coaching sessions you witnessed the planning. You'll have it. Linda turned to me, eyes narrowing. Maggie, has Jessica tried something like this before, smaller scale? I hesitated, memory surfacing. Last year, she asked me to sign a power of attorney, said it was just in case. I refused. Linda's expression hardened. That's when she moved to Plan B. The kitchen fell quiet. Jessica hadn't stumbled into this. She'd planned it. And when the easy path failed, she'd recruited Castellano, enlisted Patricia Stevens, and built a conspiracy designed to strip me of everything. But now we had 7 days, and we were ready to fight back. Linda called early Tuesday morning, April 23rd. Her voice all business. We need to document everything, she said. Every meal, every task, every decision. Video proof you're fully capable. No gaps. You want me to film my own life? Exactly. Jessica will paint you as confused, forgetful, unsafe. We prove otherwise. Starting today. Sarah arrived within the hour, phone fully charged. Let's show them who you really are. I felt ridiculous, but I nodded. Tuesday, April 23rd, Sarah filmed me making breakfast. I cracked eggs into a bowl. No shells, steady hands whisked them. Smooth poured them into the pan. Toast browned in the toaster. I sliced strawberries with a sharp knife, arranged them on Emma's plate. See, Sarah murmured behind the camera. Precise, controlled. Next, the checkbook. I opened my ledger, compared bank statements line by line. Retirement account $90, $247.83. Checking $3.891.52. Savings $29,104.19 minus the $15,000 Jessica stole. Every number matched. Every penny accounted for. Sarah zoomed in on my handwriting. Neat, legible, no errors. Wednesday, April 24th, I drove Emma to church. 15 minutes through morning traffic. I signaled lane changes, checked mirrors parked between the lines in the crowded lot. Inside, we sang, "Great is thy faithfulness." I knew every verse by heart. Afterward, the grocery store. I carried my handwritten list, milk, bread, chicken, broccoli. I compared unit prices, chose the better deals, calculated the running total in my head. At checkout, the cashier said $87.34. I'd estimated $89, off by less than $2. Sarah filmed me loading bags into the trunk. You're doing great, Maggie. I didn't feel great. I felt like a defendant. Thursday, April 25th, school drop-off. Emma kissed my cheek before she ran toward the building, ponytail swinging. I waved until she disappeared inside. Sarah captured it all. At 10, I sat in Dr. Richards' office for a cognitive assessment. He asked me to spell world backward, draw a clock. Remember 3 words, copy interlocking pentagons. 29 out of 30, he said, marking his chart. Cognitively normal, no impairment whatsoever. I exhaled. 1 box checked. Friday, April 26th, homework time. Emma struggled with fractions. Okay, I said, drawing circles on scratch paper. If you cut a pizza into 8 slices and eat 3, how much is left? Her face lit up. 5/8. Exactly. Sarah filmed from the doorway. I could see her smiling. Saturday, April 27th, I made Emma's lunch turkey sandwich, apple slices, carrot sticks, a chocolate chip cookie. I tucked a note into her lunchbox. Grandma loves you. Have a wonderful day. And sealed it shut. Later, I logged into the utility portal. Electric bill, $142.67. Water, $58.12. Internet, $79.99. Paid on time. All accurate. Sarah reviewed the footage. You're making this look easy. It wasn't easy. It was exhausting. That evening, I prepared dinner. I seasoned a whole chicken, roasted it at 375 degrees for 90 minutes. Mashed potatoes. Steamed broccoli. I timed everything so it finished together. Emma asked for seconds. This is really good, Grandma. I smiled. But inside, I felt hollow. After Emma went to bed, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at my hands. Everything I'd done for decades, raised 2 children, managed a household, led an elementary school, now reduced to proving I could crack an egg without trembling, balance a checkbook, drive 15 minutes without getting lost. It was humiliating. But this was war, and every clip, every timestamp, every task completed was ammunition. Saturday evening, April 27th, Linda came over after Emma's visitation. She sat at my kitchen table with her laptop reviewing 5 days of footage. This is strong, she said. Cooking, driving, financial management, caregiving. Dr. Richard's assessment. Emma's happiness. She looked up. A competent, loving grandmother. Exactly what we need. She closed the laptop. But Jessica will bring her own evidence. Coach testimony, manufactured incidents. Be ready for her to twist everything. I met her eyes. I'm ready. Good, Linda said, because tomorrow's the hearing. She squeezed my hand. I didn't sleep that night, but when morning came, I was ready. That same week, while Sarah filmed my scrambled eggs and balanced checkbooks, Emma was fighting her own battle. Wednesday, April 24th. That morning, Dr. Richards had confirmed my cognitive health with a score of 29 out of 30. That afternoon, I drove Emma across town to meet Dr. Lisa Brennan. Dr. Brennan was 45, court-appointed to assess Emma and prepare her for testimony. She had kind eyes, graying hair, and a voice that immediately made you feel safe. I waited in the lobby watching the clock while they talked behind closed doors. Afterward, Emma was quiet in the car. That evening, Dr. Brennan called. Emma is carrying a very heavy burden, she said gently. She believes that telling the truth will make her lose you. Someone has convinced her of that. My hands tightened on the phone. Jessica. Yes, we'll work through it together. Session 1, Wednesday afternoon. Dr. Brennan's office was small and warm, soft chairs, shelves of children's books, a box of tissues within easy reach. Emma, I'm here to help you, Dr. Brennan said, sitting across from her. You're not in trouble. Can you tell me what you're feeling right now? Emma's voice was barely a whisper. Scared. What are you scared of? That if I tell the truth, they'll take Grandma away forever. Who told you that? Emma looked down at her hands. My mom. Dr. Brennan nodded, making notes. Thank you for being honest with me, Emma. That takes real courage. Session 2, Thursday, April 25th. While I helped Emma with fractions at our kitchen table that evening, she told me what Dr. Brennan had taught her earlier. She said, telling the truth won't make me lose you, Grandma. She said, lying is what might. I held her close, blinking back tears. In the session, Dr. Brennan had practiced simple questions with her. What does Grandma make for breakfast? Does Grandma help with homework? How do you feel at Grandma's house? Emma's answers came easier each time. Scrambled eggs and toast, every night with fractions, safe and happy. And then for the first time, Emma said the words out loud with conviction. I want to stay with Grandma. That evening, Dr. Brennan called again. She's ready to tell the truth now, but she needs constant reassurance that you're not going anywhere. I'm not, I said firmly. I promise. Session 3, Friday, April 26th. That morning, while I packed Emma's lunch with a note tucked inside, I thought about her session later that afternoon. When I picked her up, Emma walked to the car with her head higher, a small smile on her face. Dr. Brennan says I'm brave. You are, I said, squeezing her hand. Dr. Brennan met me at the door. Emma is ready. The judge will see her privately in chambers tomorrow. No courtroom, no audience. Just a conversation. She'll do beautifully. Saturday morning, April 27th. The call came while Linda was reviewing the 5 days of video footage at my kitchen table. Court-ordered visitation this afternoon, Linda said, setting down her phone. Jessica gets Emma for 2 hours, 1 o'clock. I legally cannot stop it. My stomach dropped. After everything. With the GPS watch, Linda interrupted. Officer Cooper will be parked 2 blocks away. We turn their visitation into evidence. Saturday, April 27th, 1:00 p.m. I knelt in front of Emma, fastening the watch around her wrist. Battery full. SOS button glowing red. Remember what Dr. Brennan taught you? I said, keeping my voice steady even though my hands shook. Tell the truth, and if you need me, press this button. Emma hugged me tightly. I'll be okay, Grandma. 1:30 p.m. Stephen's house. GPS recording. Patricia. Stevens. Your grandma doesn't take her medicine properly anymore, does she? Emma, voice clear, steady. Actually, she takes it every morning. I watch her do it. Jessica tense, frustrated. Emma, don't be difficult right now. Patricia. When you talk to the judge tomorrow, remember that Grandma needs help. Emma, quiet but firm. I'm going to tell the judge the truth. Silence on the recording, then footsteps, a door closing. 3:00 p.m. pickup. I was parked outside at 2:55, hands gripping the steering wheel. When the door opened, Emma ran to the car, climbed in, buckled up. They tried again, Grandma. She said, breathless but proud. But I remembered everything Dr. Brennan said. I told them I'd tell the truth. I held her hand the entire drive home. That evening, Linda reviewed the GPS recording on her laptop while Emma slept on the couch, still wearing the watch, her stuffed rabbit tucked under her chin. This is it, Linda said quietly. Patricia coaching Emma on tape and Emma resisting with confidence. It proves both the systematic coercion and Emma's credibility as a witness. She closed the laptop. Tomorrow's the hearing. Is she ready? I looked at my granddaughter sleeping peacefully. She's ready, I said, and she's the bravest person I know. Tomorrow Emma would sit in a judge's chambers and tell the truth that could save us both. But tonight she was just a child, brave, loved, and finally unafraid. Earlier that week, while Emma prepared with Dr. Brennan, Linda was building our defense with voices I hadn't expected. Friday, April 26th, 4 o'clock, Linda's office downtown. Ashley Martinez arrived carrying a manila folder thick with notes. She was 34, Emma's 5th grade teacher for the past 2 years. Before marriage, her name had been Ashley Morrison, Warren Morrison's niece. When Linda mentioned Castellano's name, Ashley said, sitting across from us, I knew I had to testify. Linda opened her notepad. Tell us what you've observed with Emma. Ashley's observations were precise, dated, professional. January, Emma was open, engaged, eager to participate. March, she withdrew. March 18th, she refused to complete a family tree assignment, wouldn't talk about home. March 25th, she cried during recess, but wouldn't explain why. April 5th, she asked me something that broke my heart. If I lie to help someone, is that still bad? My chest tightened. I filed a concern report with the school counselor on March 15th. Ashley continued. Emma was showing signs of emotional distress and possible coercion. She looked at me, eyes steady. My uncle Warren Morrison lost everything to Castellano in 2021, $220,000. They placed him in a state facility. He died 8 months later. Her voice cracked. I couldn't save my uncle, but I can help you and Emma. Linda's voice was gentle. On the stand, stick to facts, dates, exact quotes, professional observations. Let the evidence speak. Ashley nodded. I will. Saturday morning, April 27th, 10 o'clock, my kitchen table. Elena Rodriguez sat across from me, silver hair pulled back, nurse's eyes sharp despite 72 years. She'd lived next door for 15 years, watched Emma grow up, watched me care for Thomas through his final illness. I saw things, Elena said. I need to tell the judge. Linda took notes. February 28th. I was in my garden. Jessica was in your driveway yelling. She said, Mom can't take care of herself, let alone Emma. You'll harm her. You stayed calm. You said, Jessica, I'm fine. Emma's fine. She called you delusional. Elena's jaw tightened. March 20th. You were at church. I'd seen you leave. Patricia Stevens used a key to enter your house. Alone. She was inside 15 minutes. When she left, she carried a file folder. I thought it was strange at the time, Elena said. Now I understand. She was gathering information, probably financial documents. Linda leaned forward. On the stand, describe exactly what you saw. No assumptions, just truth. That's all I have, Elena said firmly. That evening, I sat with Linda in my living room. I didn't realize so many people were watching, I said, quietly. Caring. Elder abuse only survives in isolation, Linda replied. Community witnesses break that. Ashley and Elena aren't just testifying for you, they're testifying for everyone who couldn't fight back. Saturday evening, April 27th. I stood at my kitchen window watching the sunset. Tomorrow we would face Jessica in court. I'd spent 60 years teaching children about truth, integrity, courage. Now it was my turn to practice what I'd preached, and I was ready. Sunday morning, April 28th, 9 o'clock. The Travis County Family Courthouse stood downtown, glass and steel gleaming in the morning sun. Courtroom 4B was smaller than I'd imagined, wood-paneled walls, the Texas and American flags, flanking the bench rows of seats divided down the middle. On the left, Linda, David, Sarah, Emma, and me. Emma sat between Sarah and me, her small hand gripping mine. On the right, Jessica in a navy suit and pearls, Brian Castellano in charcoal gray, Patricia Stevens beside a silver-haired man I assumed was her husband Michael. Behind us in the gallery, Ashley Martinez, Elena Rodriguez, and Officer Cooper in plain clothes. The bailiff stood. All rise. The Honorable Judge Karen Anderson presiding. Judge Anderson entered 58 silver hair pulled into a severe bun, sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. 20 years on the family court bench, known for being fair, thorough, and utterly intolerant of elder abuse. She took her seat, opened a thick file, and surveyed the room. Be seated. We're here on an emergency guardianship petition filed by Jessica Harrison regarding her mother, Margaret Ann Harrison. This is a serious matter. I will hear all evidence before making any determination. Her gaze swept across both tables, lingering briefly on Emma, then on me. Mr. Castellano, your opening statement. Castellano rose, buttoning his suit jacket, his voice smooth and practiced. Your Honor, this case is about love and necessity. Margaret Harrison is 68 years old and experiencing cognitive decline. She forgets to take her medication. She forgets to turn off the stove. She becomes confused and represents a danger to herself and to her 11-year-old granddaughter, Emma, who lives with her. He gestured toward a stack of folders. Emma herself has reported that her grandmother frequently forgets to eat and appears increasingly confused. The petitioner has documented these concerns meticulously. He lifted a folder. Exhibit 1 photographs showing a disorganized kitchen, unwashed dishes, piling up in the sink, evidence of declining ability to maintain basic self-care. Exhibit 2, a typed and notarized affidavit from Jessica Harrison, detailing multiple incidents of dangerous forgetfulness. Exhibit 3, an incident report documenting a day when Mrs. Harrison left Emma alone and unsupervised for 3 hours. I felt Linda's hand on my arm. Stay calm. Jessica Harrison seeks only to protect her mother. Castellano continued, his tone earnest. She is not seeking to punish or control. She seeks professional guardianship to ensure her mother receives proper medical oversight and a safe living environment. This petition is motivated by love, Your Honor. We respectfully request emergency guardianship approval. He sat down confident. Judge Anderson made a note. Ms. Morrison, Linda stood, and her voice was steel wrapped in professionalism. Your Honor, this is not a case about cognitive decline. This is a case about financial exploitation and child coercion. She paused, letting the words land. Margaret Harrison is fully competent. She scored 29 out of 30 on a cognitive assessment administered by Dr. Richards just days ago. We have 5 days of video documentation showing her cooking complex meals, managing her finances, accurately driving safely, and providing excellent care for her granddaughter. Multiple witnesses, a teacher, a neighbor, and her own son will confirm her complete competence. Linda's tone sharpened. The truth, Your Honor, is this: Jessica Harrison forged her mother's signature and stole $15,000 from her savings account. Jessica and Mr. Castellano conspired to plant a covert surveillance device, a camera hidden inside a birthday gift, to manufacture false evidence of decline. They coerced an 11-year-old child into lying under oath. We have audio recordings of Jessica threatening Emma. If you don't lie, they'll take Grandma away forever. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Our evidence will show that the camera's IP address traces directly to Mr. Castellano's law firm. We will present bank records proving forgery and theft. We will play audio recordings documenting systematic psychological coercion of a minor. We will call witnesses who observed this conspiracy firsthand. Linda met Judge Anderson's eyes. Your Honor, the guardianship petition was filed on April 8th. The surveillance didn't begin until April 20th, 12 days later. They filed the petition before gathering any evidence. This was never about protection. This was premeditated elder abuse for financial gain. She paused. We request this petition be dismissed and the matter be referred to law enforcement for criminal investigation. Linda sat. The courtroom fell silent. Judge Anderson removed her glasses slowly, her gaze fixed on Castellano. Mr. Castellano, when did you file this petition? Castellano stood. April 8th, Your Honor. And when was the jewelry box with the camera given to Mrs. Harrison's granddaughter? Castellano hesitated, his confidence flickering. I'm not certain of the exact date, Your Honor. Judge Anderson's expression remained neutral, but her tone dropped a degree. Find out. If evidence was collected after the petition was filed, Mr. Castellano, that is a very serious problem. She replaced her glasses. Ms. Morrison, call your first witness. Linda stood. The defense calls Ashley Martinez. I exhaled slowly. The battle had begun. Ashley Martinez testified first, clear, professional, devastating. Emma's behavioral changes. The question about lying. Her uncle Warren Morrison destroyed by Castellano in 2021. The courtroom fell silent. Then Castellano stood. Your Honor, the petitioner calls Jessica Harrison. Jessica walked to the witness stand, was sworn in, and sat down. She looked pale, anxious. Castellano approached. Ms. Harrison, how long have you known your mother-in-law? 15 years, since I married David. Have you noticed behavioral changes recently? Yes. She's very forgetful, misses appointments, forgets medication. Specific examples. February, forgot to pick Emma up from school. Emma waited 45 minutes. March, expired milk in the fridge from January. Left the stove on twice. I smelled gas. Did Emma express concerns? Yes, Emma was scared. Said Grandma didn't remember if she'd eaten. Why seek guardianship? Jessica's eyes welled with tears. I love her. I'm terrified she'll harm herself or Emma. I want professional care for her. No further questions. Linda stood calm. Ms. Harrison, you said your mother-in-law forgot to pick up Emma in February. Which day? Jessica hesitated. I don't remember the exact date, but you remember it vividly enough to testify under oath around mid-February. Linda pulled a folder. Emma's school pickup log shows Mrs. Harrison arrived on time every day in February. Would you like me to enter it as evidence? Jessica went pale. Maybe it was January. Maybe, or are you fabricating? Objection argumentative. Castellano stood. Sustained. Rephrase Miss Morrison. Linda moved on. February 10th, you filed a police report claiming Mrs. Harrison threatened you. Officer Cooper found no evidence. Why file a false report? It wasn't false. I was scared. Scared or building a paper trail. Jessica's jaw tightened. I was protecting my daughter. Linda picked up an evidence bag inside the pink jewelry box. Recognize Exhibit A. Jessica's eyes widened. The jewelry box I gave Emma. April 19th. Where did you buy it? A store, downtown. Which store? I don't remember. You don't remember where you bought a $200 gift? I bought it online. Which seller? I don't remember. Let me help. Secure cam vendor specializing in covert surveillance. They sold you this modified box with camera and GPS on March 28th. The courtroom erupted. Jessica stammered. I didn't know about the camera. Linda held up a report. Forensic analysis shows the camera transmitted to IP 192.168.45.78 Thornton and Associates, Mr. Castellano's firm. You really didn't know. Jessica cracked. Brian said it was to keep Emma safe. So you did know. You just thought it was legal. Jessica's voice broke. He said it was legal, Linda continued. February, you withdrew $15,000 from your mother-in-law's account. Correct. Jessica's voice was barely audible. For Emma's education. Emma attends public school. Tuition is $0. Where did it go? Bills. Linda held up bank records. Exhibit D, $10,000 to Mr. Castellano, $3,000 to Secure Cam, $2,000 into a joint account you opened with Mr. Castellano in February. Pause. A joint account, Ms. Harrison. The courtroom buzzed. Jessica was crying, mascara streaking. It's not what it looks like. Then what is it? Jessica sobbed, unable to answer. No further questions. Judge Anderson turned to Castellano, icy. Mr. Castellano, do you have financial interest beyond legal fees? Castellano stood sweating. Perhaps I need my own counsel, Your Honor. Perhaps. But now I want to hear from Emma. Ms. Morrison, is she ready? Yes, Your Honor, in chambers. Judge Anderson checked her watch. Recess, reconvene at 2 in my chambers. She stood. Court is in recess. At 2 o'clock, we moved to Judge Anderson's chambers, a room behind the courtroom with bookshelves lining the walls, a large desk, and soft afternoon light filtering through tall windows. Emma sat in a small upholstered chair. Dr. Brennan sat beside her. Linda stood near the desk. A court clerk sat quietly in the corner with a recording device. Jessica and Castellano were not allowed inside. This was Emma's safe space. Judge Anderson sat across from Emma, her expression warm. Emma, this is just a conversation. You're not in trouble. I need to understand what's been happening. Okay. Emma's voice was small. Yes, ma'am. Linda held up a folder and pulled out several drawings. Emma, do you recognize these? Emma nodded. Those are my drawings. Can you tell the judge about them? Emma pointed to the first one. That's Grandma, behind bars. Like in jail. Judge Anderson leaned forward gently. Why did you draw your grandma in jail, Emma? Emma's voice got smaller. Mom said they were going to take Grandma away. She said Grandma would have to go somewhere I couldn't visit. Like jail. Linda held up the second drawing. And this one? Emma looked down at her hands. I tried to write the word help, but I wrote it backward, P-L-E-H. I thought if I hid it that way, maybe Grandma would see it, but Mom wouldn't. Why didn't you just tell your grandma directly? Emma's eyes filled with tears. Mom said if I told they'd take Grandma away forever, I'd never see her again. Dr. Brennan quietly offered a tissue. Emma took it, wiping her eyes. Linda pulled out another document. Emma, do you recognize this conversation? She showed Emma a transcript. Emma read the names at the top. That's Mom's voice. Can you tell the judge what happened? Mom taught me what to say. She made me practice it over and over. Judge Anderson's voice was gentle but firm. What did your mom want you to say? That Grandma forgets to eat, that she can't take care of me. Emma's voice cracked, but it wasn't true. Why did you agree to practice? Emma's tears came freely now. I was scared. Mom said if I didn't do it, they'd take Grandma away. I didn't want to lose her. Judge Anderson reached across the desk, not touching, just close enough to show she cared. Emma, your grandma loves you very much. You are not going to lose her. Do you understand? Emma nodded, wiping her face. Linda's voice was soft. Emma, what do you want? Emma looked up. She looked directly at Judge Anderson, her voice stronger now. I want to stay with Grandma. She takes really good care of me. She helps me with my homework every night. She makes me breakfast every morning. She's not sick. She doesn't forget things. Emma's voice was clear, certain. Mom lied. Judge Anderson nodded slowly. Thank you, Emma. You've been very, very brave. At 2:50, we returned to the courtroom. Emma didn't go back to the witness area. She sat beside me in the front row of the gallery, her small hand gripping mine tightly. I leaned down and whispered, I am so proud of you. She squeezed my hand. At the front of the courtroom, David stood and walked toward the witness stand. His face was pale but resolute. Across the aisle, Jessica sat slumped in her chair, mascara-streaked, staring at nothing. Linda held the USB drive in her hand, the one David had brought that night in my kitchen. David had chosen a side, and from the look on Linda's face, I knew what he was about to reveal would finish what Emma had started. The truth was coming, all of it. At 3 o'clock, Linda stood. Your Honor, the defense calls David Harrison. My son walked to the witness stand. His eyes were red-rimmed. His hands trembled as he placed one on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. He looked 10 years older than he had a month ago. Betrayal had carved lines into his face. Linda's voice was gentle. Please state your relationship to Mrs. Maggie Harrison. David's voice was steady but barely. She's my mother. I love my mother. When did you first notice problems in your marriage? March. Jessica became secretive. She kept irregular hours, started locking her phone. What did you discover? David took a deep breath. On the evening of April 19th, Emma's birthday, I saw Jessica's laptop open and unlocked. I looked. I saw emails, text messages. Between whom? Jessica and Brian Castellano. Linda paused. What was the nature of these communications? At first, I thought it was attorney-client business, but reading them carefully, they weren't professional at all. They were involved with each other. Romantically, David nodded, his voice breaking. Yes. Did you find evidence? Hotel receipts, 15 of them, over 6 months. Linda picked up a folder from her table. Your Honor, I'd like to enter Exhibit H hotel receipts from the Austin Marriott downtown, dated October 2023 through April 2024. Rooms registered under the names J. Harrison and B. Castellano. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Across the aisle, Jessica was sobbing openly. Linda continued, What else did you discover, Mr. Harrison? Bank records. Jessica had accessed my mother's account. Linda held up documents. Please explain Exhibit D. February 15th, 2024, $15,000 withdrawn. The signature was forged. It wasn't my mother's handwriting. Where did the money go? David's jaw tightened. $10,000 to Castellano's law firm as a retainer. $3,000 to SecureCam for the surveillance equipment in the jewelry box. $2,000 into a joint bank account Jessica opened with Brian Castellano in February. A joint account, Linda repeated, opened in February before the guardianship petition was even filed. Yes. How did you know they planned to liquidate your mother's assets? David's hands clenched. I found a folder on Jessica's computer labeled Real Estate Sale. It had appraisals of my mother's house, $285,000, a list of nursing homes with monthly fees, and emails discussing a liquidation timeline. Linda held up more papers. Exhibit I, Your Honor, emails between Jessica Patricia Stevens and Mr. Castellano. This one is dated March 5th. It reads, Once guardianship is granted, we must act fast. List the house within 30 days. Place her in a facility immediately. Split the money per our agreement. Judge Anderson read the email, her face hardening. David's voice was raw. They were planning to sell everything, put my mother in a facility, and split the money between them. Judge Anderson set down the document. She looked directly at Castellano. Mr. Castellano, stand up. Castellano rose, visibly trembling. Did you have a romantic and financial relationship with your client while representing her in a guardianship case against her mother-in-law? Castellano swallowed hard. Your Honor, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Judge Anderson's expression was ice. Noted. Sit down. But I am referring this matter to the State Bar of Texas and the District Attorney's Office. She turned to Linda. Ms. Morrison, do you have additional evidence? Linda stood. Yes, Your Honor. Ambient audio recordings documenting 6 weeks of systematic coercion of an 11-year-old child. Judge Anderson's voice was steel. Play them. Linda opened her laptop. The courtroom speakers activated. The first recording began to play. Jessica's voice filled the room, calm, manipulative, threatening. Emma sat beside me in the gallery, gripping my hand tighter. The truth was finally completely, undeniably out. At 4 o'clock, Linda connected her laptop to the courtroom's audio system. Your Honor, she said, we have 15 recordings totaling 45 minutes. We'll play 4 representative excerpts spanning 6 weeks. Judge Anderson nodded. Proceed. The first recording began. Recording 1, March 15, 7:30 p.m., Emma's bedroom, Jessica. Emma, when you talk to the judge, tell him Grandma forgets everything. Can you remember that? Emma, hesitant, but Grandma doesn't forget. Jessica, voice sharper. She's old, Emma. She forgets her medication. You've seen it. Emma, I don't think so. Jessica, sharp cold. This is how we help her. The recording stopped. The courtroom murmured. I clenched my hand so hard my nails dug into my palms. Emma squeezed my hand. Recording 2, March 22, 6:15 p.m. Stevens house, Patricia Stevens. Emma, sweetheart, your grandma can't take proper care of you anymore. Emma protesting. But she makes breakfast every day. She helps me with homework. Jessica interrupting Emma, grandma is sick. She needs doctors. Emma, voice breaking, crying. She's not sick. Patricia, fake gentle. Trust us, honey. This is what's best for Grandma. The recording ended. I looked across the courtroom. Patricia Stevens sat frozen in the gallery, her face drained of color. Recording 3, April 5, 7:45 p.m. Kitchen, Jessica. You know what you have to say. Emma, I don't want to lie. Jessica, angry now. If you don't do this, they will take Grandma away. You will lose her. Forever. Emma, sobbing. I don't want to lose her, Jessica. Then you know what you have to do. The recording clicked off. Small cries came from the gallery. Jessica was sobbing into her hands. Recording 4, April 10th, 8:0 p.m. Emma's bedroom, Jessica. What are you going to tell the judge? Emma, voice flat, robotic, defeated. Grandma forgets to eat. She can't take care of herself. Jessica. What else, Emma? She gets confused. Jessica. Good, you say that and everything will be fine. You'll get to see Grandma. Understand, Emma, small broken. Yes, Mom. Jessica, good girl. The recording ended. The courtroom was dead silent. Even the court clerk had stopped typing. Linda stood. Your Honor, these recordings span 6 weeks, March 15th through April 20th. This is systematic coercion of an 11-year-old child. Threats, rehearsing lies. Psychological manipulation designed to terrorize a child into committing perjury. She paused. This is not just elder abuse. This is child exploitation. Judge Anderson removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. When she looked up, her face was hard as stone. I've heard enough, she said. This court will recess for 15 minutes. When we return, I will render my decision. She stood. All rise. The bailiff led her out. The moment the door closed behind her, the courtroom erupted in whispers. I turned to Emma, still holding her hand. Almost over, sweetheart. She nodded, leaning against me. David sat across the aisle, his head in his hands. Sarah squeezed my shoulder from behind. Linda was already organizing her files, calm and ready. Jessica sat slumped in her chair, face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking. Castellano stared straight ahead, jaw tight, saying nothing. 15 minutes felt like an eternity. When Judge Anderson returned, the bailiff called, "All rise." We stood. Judge Anderson sat, opened her file, and looked directly at me. Her eyes told me everything. Justice had arrived. If you're still watching, please comment "Justice for Emma," so I know you're still with us on this journey. This is the most critical moment. The truth has finally been revealed in court. Please note some details in this story have been adjusted to protect identities and enhance its educational value. But the message about protecting the elderly and children from abuse is entirely real. Stay with us to see Judge Anderson's final verdict. At 5:15, Judge Anderson returned to the courtroom. "All rise." We stood. Emma's hand was small and cold in mine. Judge Anderson sat, opened her file, and looked out across the courtroom. "I have reviewed all the evidence presented in this matter." She began, her voice clear and steady. "This case concerns a petition for emergency guardianship filed by Jessica Harrison, seeking authority over her mother-in-law, Margaret Ann Harrison." She paused, adjusting her glasses. "The burden of proof requires clear and convincing evidence that the respondent lacks capacity to care for herself. The petitioner has failed to meet that burden." My chest loosened, but I didn't breathe yet. "Mrs. Margaret Harrison is fully competent. Medical examination confirms normal cognitive function with a score of 29 out of 30 on standardized testing. Video documentation shows independent living skills. Multiple witnesses confirm she provides excellent care for her granddaughter." Judge Anderson's voice hardened. "Moreover, the evidence reveals this petition was not motivated by concern for Mrs. Harrison's welfare. It was a calculated conspiracy designed for financial gain and the manipulation of a minor child." She looked directly at Jessica. "The installation of covert surveillance equipment, which occurred after the petition was filed, constitutes invasion of privacy and elder abuse. The coercion of 11-year-old Emma Harrison to commit perjury is reprehensible. The audio recordings document systematic psychological abuse spanning 6 weeks." Jessica stared at the table, tears streaming down her face. "The financial evidence," Judge Anderson continued, "including a forged signature $15,000 in unauthorized withdrawals and a joint bank account opened between Ms. Harrison and her attorney, Mr. Castellano, demonstrates financial exploitation and conspiracy." She set down her notes. "Therefore, the court orders as follows: the petition for guardianship is denied. Emergency custody of Emma Harrison is granted to Margaret Ann Harrison, effective immediately. Jessica Harrison's parental rights are suspended pending a full custody hearing within 30 days. A no-contact order is hereby issued prohibiting Jessica Harrison, Patricia Stevens, and Michael Stevens from any contact with Emma Harrison or Margaret Harrison. Violation will be considered contempt of court." Judge Anderson turned to Castellano. "Mr. Castellano, your conduct is deeply troubling. I am referring this matter to the State Bar of Texas for disciplinary proceedings regarding conflict of interest, improper financial relationships with a client, and participation in elder abuse. I'm also referring this case to the Travis County District Attorney's Office for criminal investigation into guardianship fraud, financial exploitation, conspiracy, and child coercion." Castellano sat frozen. "You are not to contact Mrs. Harrison, Emma, or any witnesses in this case. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Castellano and Ms. Harrison from the courtroom." The bailiff moved forward. Jessica stood shakily. Castellano's face was ashen. The courtroom erupted the moment they were gone. Sarah threw her arms around me. David pulled Emma into a tight hug, his shoulders shaking. Across the aisle, Ashley and Elena were crying, holding each other. Emma looked up at me, her voice small. "Does this mean I get to stay with you?" I knelt down and lifted her face gently. "Yes, sweetheart. Forever. No one is taking you anywhere. Ever." She buried her face in my shoulder and cried, not from fear this time, but relief. At 5:45, we stepped out of the courthouse into the brilliant Austin evening sun. Reporters rushed forward. Linda held up a hand, shaking her head. They backed off. Emma tugged my hand. "Grandma, can we go home now?" I looked down at her, this brave, beautiful child who had fought so hard for the truth, and smiled through my tears. "Let's go home, sweetheart. Let's go home." Home. The word had never sounded sweeter. But as we walked toward the car, Emma's hand in mine, David on her other side, Sarah and Linda following close, I knew the legal battle might be over. But the healing journey would be longer than the drive back. And that was okay, because we were going home, together, late July. A Saturday morning in my backyard where Thomas once tended his roses. The early sun was warm on my shoulders. Dew clung to the petals. The air smelled like earth and summer and hope. Emma knelt beside me in the dirt, her hands carefully patting soil around the roots of a new rose bush. "Grandma, what should we name this one?" I smiled. "What do you think?" She tilted her head, considering. "How about the Emma Rose?" My throat tightened. Perfect. Grandpa Thomas would love it. She grinned and went back to planting. 3 months ago, we were fighting for our lives in a courtroom. Today, Emma's laughter filled the garden Thomas had built with his own hands. We had survived, and we were healing. Emma still saw Dr. Brennan every week. The nightmares that once came every night now only visited twice a month. At school, she'd become the girl who volunteered to tell the class about my brave grandma. And every Thursday, David came over for dinner, slowly, carefully rebuilding the relationship with his daughter. Jessica's parental rights had been terminated on June 15th. She'd moved to San Antonio with the Stevens family. The no-contact order remained in place. Brian Castellano was disbarred on June 30th. He was facing criminal charges, guardianship fraud, financial exploitation, conspiracy, child coercion. His trial was scheduled for October. If convicted, he could spend 15 to 20 years in prison. The Stevens family was under investigation as co-conspirators. David had divorced Jessica and bought a house 3 blocks from mine. Linda Morrison had become one of my closest friends and continued taking on elder abuse cases across Texas. Sarah, Ashley, and Elena had all become community advocates speaking out about elder rights and the warning signs of exploitation. And me, I'd testified before the Texas Senate Health and Human Services Committee. The Harrison-Morrison Elder Protection Act was now under consideration, 6 provisions designed to protect vulnerable adults, including mandatory forensic audits for guardianship cases, background checks for proposed guardians, and a ban on unauthorized surveillance. If I've learned anything from this nightmare, it's this: trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Document everything: photos, receipts, dates, times. Your records become your weapon. Community is your shield. Abuse survives in isolation. Talk to neighbors, teachers, doctors. Speak up. Listen to children. Their voices are the purest truth. If you or someone you know is experiencing elder abuse, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116. Contact your local Adult Protective Services. Visit the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys at nyela.org. Document financial statements, photos, medical records, and any recordings. Don't wait. Abuse escalates in 3 to 6 months. If you suspect child abuse, call the Child Help National Hotline at 1-800-422-4453 or contact Child Protective Services in your state. You are not alone, and your voice matters. Emma stood brushing dirt from her knees. "Do you think it'll grow, Grandma?" I looked at the rose bush, small now, fragile, but rooted. "It will," I said. "Roses need time to grow strong, just like you." She slipped her hand into mine. The garden was quiet, peaceful, safe. And I thought about everything we'd been through: the fear, the fight, the victory, the healing still ahead. Love had won, and that in the end was all that mattered. Looking back on this journey, I realize I trusted too much and stayed silent too long. Don't be like me. Don't wait until everything is nearly out of control before speaking up. If something feels wrong in your family, trust your instincts. God gave us that sensitivity to protect ourselves and those we love. The biggest lesson I learned from these family drama stories is document everything, trust your community, and especially listen to children. Emma tried to tell me through her drawings, but I almost missed it. Grandma stories like mine aren't rare. Many elderly people in family drama stories face exploitation from their own family members. God led me to Linda Sarah and the good people who stood by my side. Don't isolate yourself. Seek help early from lawyers, doctors, teachers, neighbors. The most painful family drama stories are the ones we let unfold in silence. These grandma stories teach us that silence protects abusers. God never abandons those who seek justice with sincere hearts. And grandma stories can have happy endings too if we dare to fight for what's right. Final note. This content contains dramatized storytelling elements for educational purposes. Some details are fictional, but the core lessons about recognizing financial and emotional abuse are real. If this style doesn't suit you, that's okay. Please seek content that better fits your needs.